Hello, hello, hello. How are you all? Good to see you. If you see me just getting a little, sweaty and sweatier and sweatier, I'm trying to get this microphone in the right position during this live. It's because it's so bloody warm here in Belfast and the sun is beaming in through my window, and we're all absolutely dying with the heat because we're not prepared for it in Belfast and we don't have any air conditioning. So if I get sweatier and sweatier and sweatier, I'm not having a hot flash. I'm actually just dying from the heat. So good to see you all today. We've got about 3 minutes before we're going to start. We have a jam-packed session for you today, as usual. So I do want to get started pretty promptly, but if you want to say a quick hello in the chat box, then we can say a few hellos and chat and get to know each other before we start. And then we are going to go ahead and start the masterclass. And I just had my hair done. We're going away on vacation on Saturday. And so I just went and got it colored and blow dried. And this is the worst possible day that you could ever choose to have your hair blow dried because my hair is so long. And like, look at the length of it. You don't want it to be like, it's literally down to my, nearly down to my butt. Let's see at the back. Yeah, no, nearly lower back it's down to. And yeah, it's pretty hot in the heat. Right? So let's say a few hellos before we begin. Wendy Woods has the first hello. She says, good morning from Oregon. I just have my 30 grams of protein in my coffee. So good. Very happy to hear that, Wendy. Do you know what I do sometimes before I train in the gym? I will have 2 scoops of the Protein Works chocolate hazelnut is my favorite flavor from the Protein Works Wonder Shake, and I blend that with 2 shots of espresso and a little bit of water, or sometimes a little bit of soy milk and water, and I blend it all up and I drink that, and it is so good. It's like a chocolate espresso. It's absolutely fabulous. Let me say a few more hellos. Melissa Sweeney is here and she's saying hello from sunny and hot Arizona. Hello, Melissa. We have Janet from Austin, Texas saying hello. Hi, Janet. Nice to see you. Who else do we have? We have Julianne from Halifax in Nova Scotia in Canada, and she is excited to be here. The numbers are climbing, but not many others of you are saying hello, but that's okay. We have Tanya Lee in Texas. Nice to see you, Tanya. And anyone else who wants to say hello before we begin can do so in the questions. And by now you know the drill. We have Cynthia Rodriguez is saying hello. And we have Janice A. Wills saying hello. Oh, they're all coming through now. And we have Sabrina saying hello. Where's Janice? She's in Southern California. And we have Jenny Lynn in Santa Monica. Jenna is saying I can't hear. Is that on my end? Yes. Yes, so it's on your end. I don't know whether that makes any sense. It probably doesn't. Who else do we have? We have Jenny Lynn. I don't know whether I said Jenny Lynn, but then again, hi Jenny Lynn. We have Anna is saying hello. We have Sandy from Alaska. Lori is saying hello as well. We have Ray from sunny Wales. Hello from sunny Belfast, just across the pond. We have Kimberly as well saying hello. Hi Kimberly. And we have Lori says she's happy to be here, and Sam Palmer and Mindy Anderson saying good morning. She says I didn't see the replay from yesterday. I missed the live, so I was hoping for it. Did it not go out? The replays are all on the same page. All the replays are on the one page, so you would have got a link after the first one with the, I think in your registration email, no, not your registration email, in the reminder email that went out for today, there was a link to watch the replay, but the replay links are all the same. So anybody who hasn't got a replay link, just click on any email that says about the replays, and that will take you to the correct page. Laurie Anderson is saying hello, and we have Tracy saying hello as well, and we have Michelle is asking about the recording as well. It's all on the replay page. Everybody has been sent out the replay link. If you haven't had it, please write to support@thesculptedvegan.com and they will sort you out. Well, and you know what though, don't do that. Use the live chat on the website, because quite often if your email service provider is blocking the emails, which a lot of them do, if we respond via customer support, you won't get that email either. So if you didn't get the first one, you're not going to get the support one, but usually you will find all of our emails in junk or spam. If you go and look there, you should find them hiding. Okay, just a couple more hellos before we get started. Jenna is saying hello, and Jeanette Jones, oh, Jenna's saying got it. Bonjour from Montreal. Angelique is saying bonjour, comment ça va? We have Trish Fitzsimmons is here, and we have Salanda is here. Hi Salanda, nice to see you. We have Michelle. She's saying the replay was there, was not there, only the PDFs. The replay is up on the replay page, so it does take our team a little while to get them uploaded, because by the time we finish here, it's already 5 p.m. and my team is in Belfast, so we don't get them uploaded usually until the next morning. It was just the lovely Rachel she decided on her Monday evening to upload the replay for everybody. So the first one went out early, but normally they're not up until the next day, unfortunately, because of the time differences, because we are a global company. Let me see. Denise is saying hello as well. We have Rachelle saying hello, and loads of others coming in too. But I'm going to have to start now because I need to be finished on time because I'm going show jumping later on my horses. So let's go ahead and get started. I am just going to pull up the slides from today. Let me see where they are, and I'm going to share my screen. And I'm going to go in here and I'm going to start a slideshow, and I'm just going to get Maya to confirm with me. You can still see me on the slideshow. She can. Excellent. Alrighty, let's get started. So today's masterclass is all about calorie shredding and eating out. I actually think I had called this originally how to shred in menopause or something like that, how many calories you should be eating to shred. But whenever I was actually planning this masterclass, I decided to change the name slightly because there is something I want to talk about, and that is eating out as well, because a lot of people ask me about how to eat out whenever you're following the principles that we teach for our ladies in menopause. So I'm going to be discussing that as well today. Alrighty, so let's get started. So for years, the Sculpted Vegan has been teaching women how to balance proteins, fats, and carbs for maximum fat loss and muscle building. These are just some of the thousands of women, hundreds of thousands of women that have shredded through our programs. All of these results that you see were either done in 4 weeks or in 8 weeks. So whenever, this is actually just for those of you who are new to the Sculpted Vegan as well, this is really just to confirm that I do know what I'm talking about when it comes to shredding and fat loss. And you can see in these photos just like how amazing these transformations have been in such a short space of time. But did you know that staying shredded in menopause requires subtle changes to these macros? You probably did know that if you've been following me for a while. We've also been talking about it over the last 2 days. So let's get on to what these subtle changes are. Understanding how to plan and track your food is essential to creating body change, especially in the beginning. Like whenever you're first starting out on your on any journey, on any fat loss or bodybuilding journey, you need to know how to plan and track your food. And even if you are a pro at tracking already and have seen some great fat loss success in earlier years, remember that with menopause, you need to be making a few subtle changes to your diet to ensure lasting success. So in short, what you used to do doesn't always work. I do get a lot of questions from people who say, how come there are white starchy carbs in your shred programs, but you don't recommend them in the menopause program? Well, that's because the menopause program is specifically designed for female bodies who are going through the stage of life known as menopause, when there are changes to your neurological systems, which we talked about on Monday. There's changes to your hormones and to how your body stores fat. There's also changes to what your body does with your cells in terms of creating insulin resistance. So you have to change the way you eat. You can't do what you've always done and hope to get what you've always got. It doesn't work that way, okay? You do have to make subtle changes, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. So first of all, let's discuss carbohydrates. We're going to discuss all the different macros today. So carbohydrates, I'm sorry, I apologize if this is information that you know already or information that I have taught before, but it is really important to go over it just to reinforce what you already know, but also so that we can discuss the differences of what you know versus what you should know in menopause. So many people think that that vegans get most of their protein, I should say, from beans, lentils, nuts, seeds, and legumes. While this may be true for some vegans, these are not actually primarily sources of protein. They are carbohydrates. This always surprises people whenever I tell them this. A lot of people will say to me, oh, where do you get your protein from? You're a vegan bodybuilder. Suppose you eat a lot of chickpeas and beans and lentils and nuts and seeds and that kind of stuff. And we see sometimes people coming into our Insiders group, which is our free group, has about 17 or 18,000 people in it. We see them coming in, and sometimes if they're relatively new to the group, some member will ask and say, does anybody have any protein recommendations for me to help, increase my protein, because I'm definitely not getting enough. And some members will say, oh yes, if you eat some, seeds and nuts and hummus is really high in protein and whatever. And our more seasoned members come in and they go, no, you don't want to be eating those things. Those are not protein sources. sources. They do have protein in them, but they're not primarily protein sources. They're primarily carbohydrate sources. So you have to look at what is the largest macro in the food group that you're eating, right? So in seitan, for example, the largest macro is protein. So you would consider that a protein source. With beans or lentils, the highest macro, the largest macro is carbohydrates. Does it have protein? Yes, but that's the secondary macronutrient in that particular foodstuff. So in the sculpted vegan companies, these things are carbohydrates, but this is actually a really good thing, and I'll tell you why. Because in menopause, we avoid white starchy carbs. This is because your body creates insulin resistance in your muscle cells to divert more energy to fat store to produce more estrogen. Eating slow carbs, such as beans, lentils, and legumes, short circuits this process. The fiber in these foods prevents a rapid rise in blood sugar, so there's not much glycogen left over to divert to fat store. So I know I have discussed this over the last couple of days, but they always say 3 times is a charm. In order to really absorb something and understand it, you have to hear it at least 3 times. So consider this your 3rd time, okay? So let's just go over it again so that you guys really can understand this. Whenever you are in menopause, your estrogen levels start to decline. Your body's secondary source of estrogen is fat cells, okay? Fat cells are very good at making estrogen. It's also can be made by your adrenals, but that's a very small source, okay? So your body, whenever it recognizes that estrogen is declining, will try to hang on to estrogen. So it will try to divert more energy to fat store to create more estrogen. How it does this is by creating insulin resistance within the cells, within the muscle cells. Your primary cells that your body will send glycogen to are your muscles and your liver. So it creates insulin resistance within your muscle cells to divert more to fat store. Now, this was probably very, very useful, hundreds, maybe thousands of years ago in very primitive times, whenever we didn't have the access to food and calories that we have now, because humans would have eaten probably, only every couple of days, or they would have been foragers or berry pickers. They certainly didn't have access to the huge amount of food that we have access to today. So therefore, there wasn't an excess of calories. So your body had this really efficient way of, when calories came in, it would keep some of the calories now, put some into the muscles for immediate energy sources, and then it would divert more into fat stores to keep the balance of estrogen. So your body, probably with a small amount of food, worked very harmoniously to keep everything exactly as it should. That's what happens in menopause whenever you are at my body fat, or whenever you eat the way that I eat. I do not overeat. I eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and sometimes if I'm hungry in the evenings, I will have a snack. All of my food is beans, lentils, cruciferous vegetables, and lean protein sources. All of it, okay? I don't eat hardly any white starchy carbs. I'm not snacking on chocolates and cakes and cookies and candies. I'm not drinking sodas or diet sodas. Yes, I have a glass of wine or champagne occasionally or frequently, but I am good 80% of the time. So the way that I eat probably mimics or is closer to how our primitive ancestors would have eaten. So my body is diverting energy to fat store, which is fine, some of the energy to fat store, but because there's not an enormous amount of calories coming in, it keeps it all in balance. So I'm getting enough energy in my muscles for what I need, and my body is getting diverting some of the energy to create a few more fat cells, which is totally fine for me because I can afford to, for estrogen. So everything is in balance. Okay, so let's talk about protein. In menopausal women need to consume adequate amounts of protein to not only build muscle, but to keep muscle. Sarcopenia is the age-related decline in skeletal muscle mass and function, and is one of the main contributors to morbidity and physical disability in old age. As estrogen declines, so does muscle mass. So this is something really important that you guys need to understand. Eating protein isn't just for bodybuilders. Eating protein isn't just about, building massive amounts of muscle. You might not want to build massive amounts of muscle, and that's totally okay. You will never, ever, ever build huge amounts of muscle by accident. It will never happen by accident, right? So, but as you get older, over the age of, I think, of about 45, you start to lose a small percentage of your muscle mass every single year. And if you do not keep, or if you do not work to build muscle, to short circuit this process, or to, what's the word I'm looking for, to balance this process, you are going to be in big trouble when you're older. That's why The world is filled with old people who are, you know, walking around on walking sticks and their bodies are broken and decrepit because whenever we get older, we stop strengthening our bodies. We see strength training and bodybuilding as something that you do when you're younger, not something that's going to keep you in old age. So it's, if you're not weight training at the minute and you're in menopause or you're moving into later stages of life, you need to start. If not for aesthetic reasons, do it for your health. And one of the most important components in building muscle is protein. And menopausal women need to consume adequate amounts of protein to combat sarcopenia, but also to help to build more muscle. Now, when choosing protein, it's important to look for a lean protein. This is a protein that is low in both fat and carbs. So a non-lean protein would be something that is high in fat, like tofu. We wouldn't consider tofu to be a lean protein because it's actually quite high in fat. It's a very good source of protein, but it's not lean. Every menopausal woman should be aiming to eat 1 gram of protein for every pound of body weight. If you're obese, this will be lower. You want to aim for about 0.5 grams of protein per 1 pound of body weight. Now, why is it lower if you're obese or if you're overweight? Because it's supposed to be 1 gram of protein per lean body mass. Okay, so let's say I weigh 65. Let's do the maths, right? So I weigh about 68 kilos. I think I weigh at the minute. I don't weigh myself very often, so I'm not sure. So I weigh about 68 kilos, and at the minute I'm about 14% body fat. So multiplied by 0.14. So that means that 9.52 kilos of my body is fat, okay, out of the 68 kilos. That means 68 minus 9.5. That means that 58.5 kilos of my body, which is, let me do that in pounds, which is 128 pounds of my body is either bone, water, or muscle mass. Trying to think about it, or like my internal organs and that kind of stuff. So the rest of it is what we call, it's your lean body mass. Okay, so your lean body mass is your body without fat. Now, whenever you're working out your protein requirements, you should be working it really on your lean body mass. Why? Because fat does not require protein to grow, and in fact, you don't want to feed the fat. So the fastest way to work out your lean body mass, and by the way, we have all these calculations for you in a downloadable PDF. The simplest way to do it is to work out your body fat percentage and then detract that from your weight, and that's your lean body mass. So my lean body mass is 128 pounds. Okay, so I should be aiming for about 128 pounds of minimum 128 pounds of protein per day. But because I'm super lean, I just work it out on my body weight. Okay, so I just go, let me see, 68 multiplied by 2.2. I'm 150 pounds in weight, so I eat about 150 grams of protein. Whenever you're lean, it doesn't matter. Now, so anywhere between 128 and 150 grams of protein is perfect for me. Now, if you are 220 or 230 pounds, okay, you're not going to want to eat 230 grams of protein because that's going to give you far, far, far too many calories, right? Because there's four calories per gram of protein. So if you're 230 pounds, you're going to be 920 calories just from protein, okay? That's going to be far, far, far too much for you to lose weight. So if you're seriously overweight and you don't want to do the lean body mass calculations that we've given you in today's downloadable PDF, you can simply work on half a gram per pound of body weight. So if you're 230 pounds divided by 2 is 115, multiplied by 0.5. Oh, sorry, hang on. That isn't right. Yeah, sorry, 230 divided by 2. So you should be eating about 115 grams of protein per day. Okay, this is just a general calculation. I don't want you to get hung up on the numbers. They're really not important. What is the most important thing is to know that you need to be eating protein and you need to be strength training in menopause. So what are some lean vegan sources of protein? Seitan, tempeh, soy chicken substitute, soya minced beef, sunflower minced beef, and tofu at the end here. And I put a star on it because tofu is a really good source of protein, but it is actually quite high in fat. I think it has in 280 grams, I think there's 10 grams of fat per 100. So in 280 grams, I think there's like 28 grams of fat. That's actually quite high. So you want to be making sure that you're eating protein, you're eating tofu as a protein source in kind of, maybe not more than once a day. And you want to be working towards eating the lean protein sources such as seitan or tempeh or soy chicken. And things like Beyond Burgers and that kind of stuff, they are really, really not good because they are so high in fat. Get really used to reading labels whenever you buy things. So if you're buying burgers in the supermarket, read the label on the back, see how many calories are there per burger. But what you want to do is you want to scan down and you want to look at what is the fat content per burger. If the fat content per burger is like more than 8 grams, you want to stay well away from it. Okay, I would even say 6 grams. You want it to be as low as possible. I mean, down as low as 3 to 4, 2 to 4, but it would be even better. So you have to get used to reading labels and seeing what the fat content is of the labels. Because if you think about it, 1 gram of fat has 9 calories. So if you're eating a burger with like 14 grams of fat in it, you're going to be eating 126 calories just in that, just from fat in that burger. So you have to be really careful about your lean protein sources. The downfall of most vegans is that they eat, oh, no, yeah, okay. Oh, man. So here we are, fats, right? Next section, fats. Fat does actually make you fat. There was a whole movement there recently where people were saying, oh, people are so scared of eating fat. Fat does not make you fat. And I'm like, I'm sorry, fat does make you fat, okay? Eating too much fat will make you fat. Let's just have a look at what that looks like. So the downfall of most vegans is that they eat too many calories from fat. This comes from years of believing that tofu and nuts are the best sources of protein. Whilst they are great sources of protein, they are also very high in fat. 1 almond has 10 calories. If you eat 10 almonds, that's 100 calories. I've seen friends sit down and scoff a whole bag of nuts, maybe 50 or 60 nuts. That's 500 to 600 calories, thinking they are being healthy. But they have confused health with fat loss. Eating a bag of mixed nuts is great for your health, yes, but it is very bad for your fat loss due to the calories. So I know that a lot of people become vegan or move into the vegan lifestyle because they want to be healthy, okay? And so they're like, oh, I'm so healthy. I eat so many beans and legumes and nuts and seeds and healthy oils. And but then they come to me complaining that they're like, that they can't lose body fat. They're like, but I eat a really healthy diet, but I just can't lose body fat. And then whenever I question them what they're eating, I'm like, you're eating an enormous amount of fat. So the problem is we have been educated incorrectly, I guess, by schools and, advertisements and whatever, to believing that healthy equals low calorie. It doesn't, okay? Just like fruit, okay? Like you've learned that fruit is full of fructose. The only organ of the body that can utilize the fructose is the liver. So fruit, although while packed with antioxidants and health benefits, is not a good diet food because all of the calories from the fruit just goes directly to fat store. So is it healthy? Yes, absolutely. Is it a good diet food? No, neither is fat. You have to become aware of these things. When following the Menopause Shred program, which you guys, not everyone here is, a lot of you have purchased it, but not everyone has, and it's not necessary to purchase it, by the way, but it is not necessary to calculate your macros for fat loss. Women following this program are shredding huge amounts of fat simply by changing their eating and exercise habits. So the reason why I put this in is because a lot of people, whenever I start teaching about macros and calories and lean body mass and total daily energy expenditure and all of these technical terms, they go, oh my God, this is so overwhelming. Like, I don't want to have to track my fitness pal and I don't want to have to track this and do these calculations. And it's just so overwhelming for me. And the reason why I created the Menopause Shred in the way that I did is because of the feedback I was getting from more mature women who tend to become more overwhelmed with technology. I mean, you give a 20-year-old, you give my 12-year-old daughter like a calculation for lean body, not that I ever would because she's 12, but if you said to her, here, sweetheart, can you work out my lean body mass and how many calories I should be eating and download my fitness pal and figure out how to work it, she could do it like that, okay, really fast, because our kids are used to technology. Now, I own an internet company, so I'm also very good with technology, but we were finding our more mature members were not great with technology, and they got overwhelmed with the calculations, and they got overwhelmed with trying to track their food in my fitness pal. So because of that feedback, I created a diet where there were 5 principles to follow rather than really specific macros and calories. However, it is a really, really, really useful thing to learn, and I highly recommend that all you guys learn it, and anyone who's here and purchased this masterclass series, which is not even a diet and exercise program, it's just a learning process. You guys are obviously committed and want to get the best results. So I would say that you watching this now are absolutely in the right position to be able to learn this kind of information. So knowing how to calculate your lean body mass, your LBM, and your TDEE, your total daily energy expenditure, is a really great skill to have. The more you can educate yourself and understand your body, the more likely you are to be successful in body composition change. And that is a fact. Now, don't stress, because we do have a PDF download for you today, and we have all of these slides for you as well. And in the PDF download, it gives you step by step how to precisely calculate your lean body mass and your total daily energy expenditure for no other reason than why the hell not? Just do it. See, can you do it? You'll see the data. You'll go, oh, wow, that's what I should be eating. And then maybe you'll track food for a day and you'll be like, holy shit, that's what I am eating. And whenever you see the difference, you're like, I had no idea. Once you start to track your food, you go, a banana has how many calories? Or you're like, oh, would it shock you to know that 1 tablespoon of olive oil has 240 calories? So if you're cooking, say you're like frying some tofu and you put 1 tablespoon of olive oil in, even if you don't measure it, like who measures olive oil? You just pour it, don't you? You could be pouring 500 or 480 calories into your meal inadvertently without even realizing it. So we're adding calories and adding calories and adding calories because we just don't realize how many calories are in fat, especially in things like olive oils and vegan butters and stuff. 240 calories in a tablespoon of olive oil. You'll never forget that now, I've told you. It really is. We're adding calories to our food and we don't even realize it. So let's go a little further into calories. The body has 2 primary sources of energy: calories from food and stored calories from fat. If there are not enough calories coming in from the food, your body will burn fat store to make up the deficit. The greater the deficit, the greater the fat burn, right? Makes sense. But be warned, if you go into a huge prolonged deficit, your body will burn off muscle tissue for energy to preserve fat stores. So let's talk about this for a second. So whenever you eat, your stomach digests the food and then it passes it through to the small intestine. In the small intestine, your body will then separate the fiber. It'll keep mulching it up, and anything fibrous that cannot be digested and passed through into the bloodstream will be passed on through to the large colon for fermentation. Anything that can be passed through into the bloodstream through the small intestine will be absorbed into the blood as calories. That's why, just to reinforce it, when you eat green cruciferous vegetables or when you eat beans or legumes or lentils, the majority of these foods, or the bulk of these foods, are fiber, so they're not absorbed into the bloodstream. Do you remember on Monday what I was saying to you? It's not important what makes it into the stomach, it's what makes it into the bloodstream that's important. Fiber does not make it into your bloodstream, so your body cannot utilize it as calories. It's not what makes it into your stomach, it's what makes it into your bloodstream. So if you once you eat, then that's passed through into your stomach, into your small colon, and absorbed into the bloodstream. That is immediate usable energy. So if you are training in the gym or you're about to train in the gym, if you eat before you train, then all of that energy, all of that glycogen is now circulating around your bloodstream. Your pancreas starts secreting insulin. Insulin is a storage hormone. If you start training in the gym and you start depleting the glycogen in your muscle cells, then your body will start feeding the muscle cells with all of that glycogen circulating in your blood. And anything that it doesn't have an immediate demand for, it will send to fat store. Now, your body is making fat and burning fat all day long, right? It's just a natural process that happens. So let's say that through moving around your day, you have a demand for 1,800 calories worth of energy, right? And a lot of people, whenever I say to them, what is a calorie? I quite often ask people, what is a calorie? And they go, it's something you eat. And I go, yep, very good. So, but how do you measure a calorie? And they're like, I have no idea. Most people don't know what a calorie is. So let me enlighten you, because I'm a geek and I know these things. And so I should, because I'm supposed to be the expert. So a calorie is the amount of energy it takes to raise 1 kiloliter of water by 1 degree. That is the measurement of a calorie. So basically it's a measurement of energy. So just like you would get a piece of coal and you would put it in a fire, when you put a calorie into your body, it makes your body hotter, right? It basically heats up your body, and that's what your metabolism is. So a calorie, so let's say you utilize 1,800 calories worth of energy every single day. So, but you only put 1,700 calories worth of energy into your body. So your energy output is 1,800 calories, but your energy input is 1,700 calories. And you do this, here's this word again, are you ready? Consistently every single day. Then what happens is you are in a 100 calorie deficit. Where does your body get that 100 calorie deficit from? You guessed it, from your ass. Well, not really, but from fat stores. So that is how your body burns calories. That is how a calorie deficit enables you to burn fat, or to burn fat stores. But the secret to this is you have to be consistent, because if you're burning 1800 calories every day and you're eating 1700 calories every day, you are in a 100 calorie deficit every day. So let's say you do that 5 days, right? Let's say you do that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Your body has burned 500 calories worth of fat. Well, let's say on the weekend you're a greedy bitch and you can't actually control yourself, and you go and you binge, right? And you eat a whole jar of peanut butter. I've never done this, by the way, but I've heard people have done this in the past. Whole jars of peanut butter demolished in one sitting with a spoon, with maybe a jar of vegan Nutella on the side. Again, not me, the other people. But if you do that, you've probably consumed about 1200 calories in one sitting. So see those 500 calories that you burned Monday to Friday? They're gone. They're wiped out. In fact, now you're actually sitting in a 700 calorie surplus, right? So it's not actually, and this is another mind-blowing thing to people, it's not how many calories you consume on a daily basis, it's how many calories you consume on a weekly basis that counts. You see, now you're like, oh shit. Yeah, so you might be like really good all week and you're like, I only had like 1400 calories all week, Monday to Friday, so I deserve to eat this chocolate cake on the weekend. Well, darling, that chocolate cake has just shot you right into a calorie surplus, and it didn't matter that you had that calorie deficit during the week and you starved yourself for a week and you were seriously pissed off because you were hungry all the time. Didn't matter. You just completely undid all your hard work by eating that big calorie surplus on the weekend. So you have to be consistent with your calories. Is it okay to have a splurge one day a week? Yeah, of course it is. It's good for your mind, it's good for your body, it's good for everything. But if you splurge several times a week and you're constantly falling off your diet, you ain't gonna get anywhere. Okay, eating out. So I get asked all the time about eating out. Kim, how do you eat out, and what do you order when you eat out, and all the different questions about eating out. And it is something which is which I have always found super easy, but that's because I guess I'm easy. I'm not easy. I was gonna say I'm easy pleased, and I thought I have many people in my life who would say that is not true, that I am not easy pleased, that I'm extremely fussy, which I am. But let's talk about eating out. So eating out can be tricky when trying not to eat starchy carbs, right? Especially if you're vegan. Now, if you're not vegan, it's fine. But if you're vegan, it's like, do you have a vegan menu? And they're like, yeah, sure. And they give it to you and you're like, pasta, risotto, more pasta, oh, some bready thing. It's like carbs, 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 carbs. And with some vegetables thrown in there for good reason, for good measure. So no wonder people always think that vegans eat bloody vegetables all the time, because that's all they ever put on the restaurant menus. There's never any feckin' protein on there. So, but it needn't be difficult to eat out if you do know these simple hacks, right? So one of the first things you have to think about, especially whenever you're in menopause, well, when you're in menopause, because that's what we're talking about today. So whenever you're in menopause and you're trying to avoid white starchy carbs, you want to choose dishes that have beans or lentils as their main component. Spoiler alert, right? You do not need rice as a side dish. I know this is shocking to so many people because we've been brought up to believe if you get an Indian meal, you must have rice on the side. It's this with pilau rice, or it's if you get a Chinese, it's this with fried rice, or with, with whatever rice. And so we are so used to having our vegan meat or whatever you eat, and potatoes, and our rice, and our Indian or whatever dishes or curries, whatever, and rice. And we're so used to having something with pasta. We're always used to this massive amount of carbs on the side. You can train yourself out of this, okay? You want to start thinking about your carbohydrates being vegetables. That's your carbs, okay? You don't need rice on the side. You can have vegetables. So when eating out in an Indian restaurant, for example, I order a lentil dal and I order a side of spinach. Sometimes I get, there's one with spinach and potatoes called sagaloo. Now you're like, but potatoes aren't menopause shred friendly. Totally get it. But you know what? If you're eating out in a restaurant, you get 3 fucking potatoes and your spinach. You're good. I wouldn't worry about it, right? It isn't going to kill you. So I will order a lentil dal and I'll spinach. And if I'm not shredding or watching what I'm eating, I'll also order a naan bread. And that is my dinner, right? Lentil dal, spinach, and sometimes naan bread. And if I'm not having the naan bread, I just eat the lentil dal and the spinach. Make sure it's vegan though, because they can often use ghee in it, which is a clarified Indian butter. But if you specify to make it vegan, then they will use olive oil instead. I never order rice, ever. right? Stay away from anything which is deep fried and covered in pastry and, full of white starchy carbs. You just have to retrain yourself when you eat. You need to retrain your brain into thinking that you don't need a white carb on the side of your plate, because you don't. Like whenever I have, if I ever make the kids like well, I just eat the pasta now because I can, but whenever I was following the principles super strictly, I would have had lentils on the side of bolognese. So I would have made the kids spaghetti bolognese and vegan spaghetti bolognese, and I would have had a side of lentils. And let me tell you, it's delicious. And instead of toast, I started having lentils. If I ever wanted to have eggs and toast, I would have eggs and lentils. And again, it's just about retraining yourself. And people are like, oh, but I couldn't have, I couldn't have like lentils with my eggs, or I couldn't have scrambled tofu with lentils. Like I would need to have toast. No, you don't. Okay. You really don't. I know that you want it, but you wanting it is actually what's got you into trouble in the first place. Not denying yourself anything and not being able to say no to yourself is the problem. You can retrain yourself to eat this way, and I promise you, if you do, you will get amazing results. And if there are no lentils or legumes or beans available, order from the side dishes. You can order a whole meal from the sides. Oh, I just realized how bad that picture is. It's really pixelated. Sorry. I think I just grabbed it off the internet. So you can actually, I've been known to go into restaurants and literally look through the menu when I'm shredding and go, okay, I'm just going to order from the side orders. So I say, sometimes I have like a soup. I'll say, what's the soup? And they'll say it's like cauliflower. And I'm like, great, I'll have the soup to start. So I have the soup, and then for the main course, I will have a side of lentil, a side of green beans, a side of asparagus, and a side of salad or whatever. Okay. And I literally just eat from the side dishes. Now, is it the most appetizing way to eat in the world? No. But quite often when I'm on a shred or I'm trying to achieve a certain goal, I'm sticking to principles, sticking to my word is more enjoyable for me than breaking my word. Like if I go ahead and order something, which is calorific or fatty, I just feel worse. Right. Excuse me. I just feel worse afterwards. And so keeping your word to yourself and coming out of that restaurant feeling like you haven't, completely overindulged or let yourself down is so much better, I promise you. Now, whenever I have been shredding for shows and I'm on a very calorie restricted diet, I quite often will prepare my protein and bring it with me. So I will prepare like a dish of seitan, of baked seitan, or of tofu or whatever, and I will bring it in a little Tupperware dish with me in my purse. And when I get to the restaurant, I will order my side orders, and then I will take out my tofu and I will take off the lid and I will tip it onto my plate. And people always go, oh my God, my family's Veshe. I cannot believe that she brought her own tofu with her. And I'm like, well, if the restaurant provided tofu, then I wouldn't have to, would I? But they don't, so I do. So never be ashamed to prioritize you and your needs. And they won't care if you bring your bloody tofu in. And let me tell you what else, it makes your meal really inexpensive. I used to go out like for meals with people whenever I was shredding, and of course I was just drinking water. So I was drinking sparkling water and I was only ordering from the side dishes. So my meal came to like, £8, and everyone else's would be, whatever. And I'd be like, guys, I'm actually not going to split the bill because mine came to like a tenner and yours was all like 50 quid a head because your alcohol and food and desserts and coffees or whatever. And I literally had a black coffee, a bottle of sparkling water, and a side of green beans and a salad. So it does make it extremely inexpensive. And listen, I don't want to be like, oh my God, Kim, you're literally robbing all the joy from my life. I've got to the stage of life. I want to enjoy it now. I don't want to go out for dinner and have bloody sparkling water and 2 side orders. You don't have to. I'm giving you the extreme of when I was dieting versus how to make this a lifestyle. I'm just trying to give you choices. I'm just trying to let you know that you can still go out. If you want to stick to your plan, you can still go out and enjoy yourself in restaurants with your friends and drink, vodka with if you like to drink alcohol, vodka with sparkling water and loads of fresh lime squeezed in. There's hardly any calories in that whatsoever. So there are ways that you can still manage to stay on plan, but also have what you want and go out with your friends. And this is what I'm trying to teach you how to do. And there's my little story about I've been known to bring my protein source with me to a restaurant, just order soup and green vegetables, and I have zero qualms about pulling out my container of seitan and tipping it onto my plate, because if restaurants offered more vegan options, it wouldn't be necessary. And I tell anyone who asks this. Okay, so for anyone who wants to learn, I have included in the PDF download a whole section about how to calculate your calories and macros for building muscle and burning fat. And I'm really glad today that I ran through this quite quickly because I wanted to give you guys a really long Q&A today so that I can get through as many questions as possible, because, and I think this is, yeah, it is the Q&A now. So I really wanted to give you as long a Q&A as possible, and not waffle on and on and on, because we now are starting to build information on top of information, and it's not very often that you actually get me here live to ask me all of your questions. So you don't just have to ask questions about what I taught today. You can ask questions about anything. All you have to do is pop them into the question box. And I know the wonderful Maya has been, I can hear her typing away here, answering you all whenever you're asking your question during the class. But if anybody has any questions for me now about anything that I've taught or anything that you want to learn for yourself, pop it into the chat box now, and we will have we'll have a really, really good Q&A. Let me just turn off the screen. I feel like I need to sniff. My nose is suddenly blocked, and now of course I'm sweaty. I'm like, what? Like my sweaty upper lip. Okay. So let's take some questions. So Ray Walker is saying, any importance of the Linda Hamilton photo behind Kim? I'm just being nosy. Okay, it is an open forum Q&A. So the Linda Hamilton photo is significant. Anyone who's followed me for long enough will know the significance of this. Linda Hamilton and Terminator 2 actually inspired, I think, mine and many other women's bodybuilding journeys. So whenever I was, I think, I'm going to guess and say about 14 or 15. I think it would have been about 15. What am I now? 43. Whenever Terminator 2 came out. And I remember reading one of my magazines, one of my teenage magazines that my mum would have bought me. And in it, or on the cover of it, there was a picture of Linda Hamilton. It was this picture here. And I remembered looking at what I thought was her, well, I didn't know what it was, but it's her delts, right? She's sitting like this, and she's super lean. She didn't actually have an enormous amount of muscle in this. She did have muscle, but she's actually so lean. She's bodybuilder lean, that like her arm, like her delt looks like really, really muscular. And I remember seeing that, and her with her glasses and the cigarette and just her arm so muscular. And I remember just thinking, oh my God, this woman is my hero. She is a badass. I want to be her. I just knew at that point that I wanted muscles. And I remember getting my dad's dumbbells, and they were too heavy for me. So I had to take off the plates and only use like the metal bars. And I remember standing for hours and hours and hours and doing dumbbell curls, thinking that would get me a delt. I had no idea that this is your bicep, which is what works in a dumbbell curl. And this is your delt, which is what's really muscular on her. And that's how you get through pressing and flying and all the different things. So that's the significance of it. So whenever I started Sculpted Vegan and it became really hugely popular, I bought the picture online and I had it framed. And normally it sits up on the wall, but we've just moved offices, so that's why it's just propped up there in the radiator. But yeah, Linda Hamilton is what inspired my bodybuilding journey, and the reason why you are all here today, and the reason why I am here today. So thanks for asking the question. That's great. Okay, I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. Let me have a go at it. Daaya. I want to say Daaya Islam. So I hope it's Daaya. You can tell me if it's not. She says, yesterday you mentioned leg exercises we should do. Where do we find those? In the PDF. So the PDF download from yesterday has two different leg workouts, my personal leg workouts that built my legs that I have today. And all you need to do is those exercises forevermore. You never need to change them. You just need to keep adding more weight as much as you can, as soon as you can. And they are in the PDF download from yesterday, and there are videos as well to accompany each exercise, and you are welcome. Anna Springs is, Spriggings. Oh, that's a great name. What do you recommend as a salad dressing? So I don't use a salad dressing very often. I will quite often just squeeze lemon juice over my salad. So one of the best things you can do is like lemon juice and sea salt, right? Is a great dressing. Or apple cider vinegar. I have this beautiful apple cider vinegar that we use here in Northern Ireland. It's called Natural Umber. I think you can only get it in Europe, and it tastes like expensive salt and vinegar crisps, and it is really dark brown. It's absolutely delicious, and if you just sprinkle that on your salad, that's absolutely gorgeous too. Another thing that I use, where is it? My tahine. My nose is blocked. She keeps this on her desk, and she's just put it on my desk because I eat it every day. This is your best friend for salads. This is called Tajin, Tajin. It is a Mexican seasoning. It's very popular in America, obviously very popular in Mexico. I buy it on Amazon. I love this. If you sprinkle this on your salad with a little squeeze of lemon juice, you will not need anything else on your salad. It is absolutely amazing, and you can thank me later if you have never tried it. What about Jenna Blasey is asking, what about all the oils those vegetables are sauteed in? Do you order them steamed? Well, here in Northern Ireland, most vegetables on the side orders would be steamed. They wouldn't saute them, but you have to make sure they don't put a big knob of butter on the top of them as well. So I will always just ask for some steamed broccoli, some steamed green beans. If I go to a Chinese, quite often they will have, even if it's not on the menu, they're going to have broccoli. So I always say, can I order some steamed broccoli with garlic and some green beans with garlic? And so they will. That's another thing I love in my vegetables is garlic. So they'll chop up loads of fresh garlic, they'll steam the broccoli, and they'll put the garlic on the top. So quite often, if you ask for them to not be sauteed in oil, they absolutely will do that for you. It's not a problem. Okay, Lily is asking, can I eat? And if it starts with can I, Lily, the answer is usually no. And can I eat quinoa? Unfortunately, quinoa is a very white starchy carb. Yes, it's high in protein, but it's also extremely high in carbohydrates. So no, on the menopause shred or in menopause, you cannot eat quinoa. I am very sorry. You're going to have to eat beans and lentils instead. Janice is asking, in a detox, will then one lose muscle tissue? Well, it depends on the detox. I mean, there's plenty of detoxes where you eat lots and lots of food. You won't lose muscle tissue ever as long as you are continuing to work your muscle. So we have a saying in bodybuilding, my trainer Mark Getty always says it, and it's one that I picked up, and he says what builds the muscle keeps the muscle. So even if you are eating in a calorie deficit and you are dieting for a prolonged period of time, if you continue to lift heavy weights, as heavy as you were lifting before you were dieting or detoxing, then no, you will not lose muscle mass. Because if you think about it, your body only wants to keep as much muscle as it needs. It doesn't want to keep any extra muscle. So if your body builds enough muscle for you to squat 100 kilos, and once you've gotten to 100 kilos, you think, oh, well, I got to 100 kilos. My legs are the perfect size now. I can just start squatting 60 kilos every week. Well, if you drop down to squatting 60 kilos, very quickly, your body will drop a lot of muscle and it will reduce the muscle mass to what it needs to lift 60 kilos. Because why would it keep 100 kilos worth of muscle if it doesn't need it? Muscle is calorie hungry. Muscle requires nutrients. Muscle requires a constant supply of blood and glycogen and nutrients just to keep it alive. Your body doesn't want to keep anything that it doesn't need. So if you stop training your muscle, you will lose muscle. So if you go on to a prolonged detox, then yes, you will lose muscle. How long does it take to lose muscle? Studies show that your body doesn't usually start dropping muscle tissue or shrinking muscle cells. Your body doesn't ever actually get rid of muscle, by the way. It just shrinks the muscle cells, shrinks them into what are called myonuclei. So it shrinks them down really small. So once you have built muscle tissue, you will never lose it. Even if you build it as a child, you'll never lose it as an adult. That's why people talk about muscle memory. There's no such thing about muscle memory, but there is myonuclei. So whenever you stop using your muscle cells, your body will shrink those muscle cells, but it will keep them in reserve for a time when you might need them in the future. So that's why once you start training again, boom, the muscle comes up really quickly, because it's not actually building new muscle tissue. It's actually just inflating the muscle tissue that's already there. So if you continue to train hard, then no, you will not lose muscle tissue. But if you go into a prolonged calorie deficit and your body recognizes you're in a prolonged calorie deficit, which it does very quickly after about 7 days, 7 to 10 to 14 days. So if you drop your calories down to like 1,000 a day and you do that for 7 days, your body is going to very quickly shut off burning fat as an energy source, and it's going to switch to burning off muscle tissue as an energy source. Your body can break down muscle tissue into amino acids for energy very easily. And if you drop down to 1,000 calories a day, but you're burning off 1,800 calories a day worth of energy, your body is going to say, holy shit, like, there's no way we're going to be able to sustain this. It doesn't know that like you're only planning on doing this for like 4 weeks or until you get down to your ideal weight or whatever. It just wants to keep you alive and keep you healthy. And it recognizes that if you continue to eat 1,000 calories a day indefinitely, then very quickly it's going to run out of fat store and it's going to die. So your body starts preserving everything that it thinks it needs to get through the perceived shortage, most importantly, which is fat store, and it starts to burn off everything else. Fat is the last thing that it wants to get hold of, get rid of. Sorry. That is why people who yo-yo diet don't have good results, because the body, as soon as you start dieting again, the body goes, oh shit, we've been here before. I know exactly what's happening. Quick, shut off the fat burning, start burning off the muscle. So the only way that you can ask your body to lose body fat consistently and actually, and work towards a goal is if you stop yo-yo dieting and you stop starving yourself and you stop being inconsistent. Consistency is what the body loves, right? It's called homeostasis. Your body wants to create a homeostatic norm. That is your body's main goal in life, is for you to be consistent. It's my main goal in life, is for you to be consistent, because I know that if you just stay consistent, you will achieve all of your goals: bodybuilding, weight loss, financial, relationship, you name it. Consistency is the reason why none of us are achieving our goals, whatever those goals are. So your body wants to create a homeostatic norm. Your body wants you to stay consistent. And if you yo-yo diet and you drop down and then you binge eat and then you starve yourself and then you binge eat, your body goes, screw her. Like, we can't trust her to feed us or do whatever. So we're just going to take matters into our own hands. So then your body will hold on to all the fat. And even when you start eating again, it'll grab more fat and it'll go, quick, quick. The calories are coming in, quick. Oh my God, quick, stuff the fat stores, because we know she's going to starve us again. So the minute you start eating again, your body just starts instantly holding on to all the fat, trying to stuff the fat stores, and they're battening down the hatches and waiting for the next period of starvation that they know is going to come. That is why yo-yo diet is completely destroying all of your progress. Its inconsistency is killing all of your dreams and your goals. So that was a very long-winded question to detox things. So I hope you got a lot out of that. Deborah is asking, hi Kim, I might have missed this, but when starting out and having a super bad sugar cravings, is there any way to stick to getting rid of sugar in the diet? Deborah, if you're having a super bad sugar craving, have a bit of sugar, right? There's no point in depriving yourself. Have a bit of sugar, but don't tell yourself you're not allowed to have it. Tell yourself you're going to have it and you're going to have a little bit of it, right? But one thing you can do as well is just get rid of all sugar. I get rid of, like, I don't have any sugar in the office. I don't, like, we do have sugar at home because our kids eat it, but very little. And so whenever I'm dieting, the amount of times I've been like, oh my God, I need sugar. And I go to the drawer and I lift it. And I'm like, oh, fuck, there's no sugar there. And there's nothing. And then I'm hunting around because I'm so dying for sugar and there's none. And you just have to go, oh, well, there's no sugar. So, but one of the things I would say is just have a little bit of sugar, but just try, aim to exercise self-control and only have a little bit. But then the other top tip is, one of my best things whenever I'm sugar craving, whenever I am dieting, because I do, listen, you don't just sugar crave in the beginning, you sugar crave when you're dieting because your body is signaling for sugar because it recognizes there's a calorie shortage, especially whenever you're super close to a show and you're doing loads of cardio and loads of training on a very small amount of calories. Your body does constantly cry out for fat and sugar because it recognizes that you're in starvation mode and it wants to try and fill up the fat stores. So what I do in that instance is I will blend some of one of my protein shakes. Chocolate hazelnut is currently my favorite. I have white chocolate peanut. I have salted caramel is delicious. So the strawberries and cream is also lovely. So I will blend 2 scoops of protein powder or 1 scoop of protein powder with some water and ice, and I will blend it quite thick and I will eat it with a spoon. I eat it very slowly with a very small teaspoon, and that makes it seem like you're having some kind of chocolate mousse for dessert. So blending your protein powder super thick is actually a really, really good way for you to get a sweet craving, but not actually kill yourself with it. Okay. Gail Newfield, is there a limit to how many grams of protein our body can absorb per hour? No one has ever been able to answer this question, Gail. A lot of people say, oh, you shouldn't have more than 30 grams because your body can't, absorb more than 30 grams in one go. Well, listen, there's never been any science to prove that. And how do they know it's 30 grams, right? Who decided 30 grams? Like, how do we know it's not 25 grams or 35 grams? Or 41 grams or 29? Like, why is it 30 but not 29? And if it's okay, well, it could be 29, why is it not 25? So it's crazy. Like, these your body can only absorb a certain amount of calories or a certain amount of protein. Like, I always wondered that. I have never found this to be true. I usually routinely have 40 to 50 grams of protein in any one sitting. And I don't think there's any limit to how much your body can absorb. But also don't forget that anything your body can't absorb or doesn't have a use for or doesn't utilize straight away will just be secreted out through the kidneys. So I wouldn't worry about it. And you do need to eat an enormous amount of protein, like 3 to 4 grams per pound of body weight, in order for you to put any kind of stress or pressure on your kidneys. So I wouldn't ever worry about that either. Okay, Lori is asking, what about blue potatoes and black rice? Never in my life have I heard of blue potatoes. That's a very disturbing thought as an authentic Irish woman, that there might be potatoes that are blue. But here is I'm going to let you answer your own question, Lori. Okay, so the golden rule is is it white, was it white, or could it be white? So that is the rule. So ask yourself, is it white, was it white, or could it be white? If the answer to those is yes, and the answer is yes to both of those, then the answer is no. Sorry. I hate to be the killer of joy, but you all want to get lean and shredded, and this is how you do it. And you can't have it both ways. I'm really sorry. Okay. I'm confused about the cheat day versus calorie intake for the whole week. So, Catherine, there's two different things we're talking about here. If you're following the principles of the Menopause Shred program, which is based on principles, it's not based on macros and calories, then you would have one full refeed day every week. You have a healthy breakfast, and then you knock yourself out for the rest of the day. Eat, drink, whatever you want, whatever makes you happy, you go for it. If you are counting calories, then you would work out your weekly calorie intake to lose body fat based on your total daily energy expenditure. And then you can factor in a cheat day on the weekend or a higher carb day if you wish. So how does that look in our bodybuilding programs? Well, in our, whenever I was bodybuilding, for example, when I would consistently eat the calories that I had worked out for myself during the week. So let's say I started on 1800. So week one would be 1800. Then we go to 1750, then 1700, 1650, 1600, 1500, 1550, 1500. Okay. So I would continually drop and increase my cardio and drop my calories with zero refeeds. Now, when I got usually about 6 to 8 weeks in, and I felt like I really, really needed a refeed, then I would have one. And I wouldn't count it in my macros. I would just go out and have a massive meal with dessert and beer and pizza. And I would literally fill myself until I felt satiated and full. And then that would reset me until I felt like I need another refeed. And so the goal is always to get as close to your body goal, as close to your weight loss as you possibly can. This is when you're dieting for a show. You want to get as close to your ideal weight loss as you possibly can before you have a refeed. Now, the third way to do it is you can actually factor it into your calories, which is what we do in the Sculpted Vegan program. So whenever you buy one of my specific shred programs, it will have a calorie macro count that you will follow for 6 days. And then on the 7th day, you'll have a slightly different meal plan, which will be higher carb. So the calories won't be that much more. Usually they'll go from say 1500 to 1800, so only 300 extra calories. But those calories will be, a lot of them will come from carbs, and that's to keep your leptin levels high. Leptin is the hormone in your body that controls hunger, and ghrelin. Yeah, ghrelin is your hunger hormone. Leptin controls your metabolism. So we want to keep the metabolism roaring along, and that is why we have a higher carb refeed day. So just to clarify, menopause shred principles, which is what we're teaching here, if you follow them specifically, then you can have a refeed day each week. If you decide to calculate your own macros and calories and you're working towards a specific goal, then you wouldn't have a refeed until you feel you need it, and then it's just one meal, so it isn't going to derail your progress. Third way to do it is to follow one of our calorie macro specific plans, which you would follow for 6 days. And then on the 7th day, you would have a refeed day. Okay. So 3 different ways to do it. May I open the blind a wee bit? Would you now let some more air in? Thank you, since the sun seems to have moved around. Trish is saying, where do you buy your sunflower mints, please? Foam meats, etc. I can't help gagging eating tofu. So Trish, we get our sunflower mints off the internet. So Sunflower Family UK, I think, is where we get ours from. You can buy it on Amazon. You can buy it on health food stores. We buy most of everything we eat that is bought in, we get from Amazon. Our supermarkets here are stocked with like vegan meats. We don't usually eat a lot of them because I have a chef who cooks for me at home, and he makes vegan seitan every single day. So I had the most delicious seitan chicken for lunch today. I'm not sure what dinner is. I can't remember the meal plan. And last night we had the most delicious seitan chicken for dinner, and he makes them in all different types of ways. Seitan is so easy to make. It takes, I think, by the time you assemble all the ingredients, put it into a blender, blend them all up, and then just fold it. It literally takes 10 minutes to prepare, and then you have to steam it, And then once it's steamed, you just slice it whenever you need to. So once it's steamed, it's cooked, and then you just take it out of the fridge and slice whatever you need, and you can also freeze it as well. It's so easy to make. So that's where we get most of ours from, Amazon or the supermarket. Jane is saying, how does HRT medication affect any of what you've taught us? Honestly, Jane, it's not something that I have studied a lot of, so I couldn't give you an answer on that. I am currently on estrogen tablets, inserted vaginally. Anybody who read my, oh my God, my first email of this series, anyone who was on my list would have got the email inviting them to this. And the first one was titled, I shove this in my vagina twice a week. That email had an 83% open rate, which is massive. And it caused absolute furor in the company. People either loved it or they hated it. The ones that hated it, oh, they really hated it. They were like, that's it. I'm never buying another program from you again. You're peddling porn. You're disgusting. And I'm like, yeah, I'm really sorry. It's important to have a sense of humor. And actually I do. And someone was like, you shovel it in your vagina. I was like, well, I know I've had 4 kids, but like shoveling is a little extreme. Definitely it's a shove, not a shovel. We had so much fun with it. So anyway, I am on estrogen tablets. I've only been on them for like the last 2 months. I was having really bad UTIs continually every single month. And just as a little side note, for those of you who don't know, whenever you are before menopause, your estrogen levels keep the bacteria in your vagina in check, right? So estrogen helps the good bacteria to thrive and to then, to not let the bad bacteria through. But whenever your estrogen levels start to decline, what happens is the bad bacteria can take over, and that can happen, obviously, especially your estrogen level plummets. Whenever I think it's your progesterone levels, your progesterone and estrogen are always in balance. So whenever you ovulate, you have a flood of progesterone, so estrogen falls, and then whenever you have your period, estrogen starts to rise again, progesterone falls. So I was starting to get really bad UTIs every time I ovulated, because whenever I ovulated, my estrogen levels were dropping, and I had every kind of test under the sun, and there was nothing wrong. They couldn't figure out what it was, but they realized that this is probably what was happening. So they put me on estrogen tablets vaginally twice a week, and it has been an absolute game changer. I've gone 2 months now without a UTI. I was having 3 a month for the last 6 months. I mean, it was miserable. I was absolutely miserable. And of course, what was making it worse was that, well, we're all women here, like it's probably a little TMI, but like sex, right? I have a very sexy husband. We have a lot of sex. Sorry, but we do. And so that was kind of making it worse, because then, of course, the bacteria gets transferred. And so now I've learned you always have to pee after sex, and you always have to wipe front to back, which I was always told, but always just seems a bit awkward with the whole front to back thing. Pee immediately after sex. That helps to flush out the urethra, and wipe front to back. Stop having so much sex. It's not really going to happen. But anyway, and then the estrogen tablets really, really helped. So you're probably like, okay, Kim, I just wanted to know the answer to like the medication. Didn't really need to know all that information about your vagina and your sex life. But there you have it. It's important to talk about these things, I believe, and talk about them I will. So I'm not sure how it affects any of what I've taught you. I do know, however, that what I'm really teaching you is the principles of food and eating and fat loss. And these principles I have been following for 20 years. It just so happens that they are 100% suitable for menopause. So it's not like this is something new for me. I've been eating this way for 20 years. And when I started the Sculpted Vegan, I was like, oh, the way I eat is like perfect for vegan bodybuilding. And then whenever I started studying menopause and I learned all about the insulin resistance, I was like, oh, the way I eat is like perfect for menopause. So it just seems to have been all perfectly aligned. So whether or not you're on HRT or you're not or whatever, these principles will work for you and for everybody. Okay, I'm going to fly through some more questions here. Is an hour of cardio necessary if you're weightlifting and moving through the exercises at a rapid pace? Yes, it is, Melinda, because you are not burning fat the same way you do in cardio. It is absolutely necessary. Melissa, how in the world do you build muscle in a calorie deficit? Will you build muscle if you eat the right amount of protein with the appropriate weight training and don't go over on the carbs? Yes, Melissa, you build muscle in a calorie deficit. I've always built muscle in a calorie deficit because of the way I eat, because my body is getting a slow, constant drip of glycogen because I'm eating really, really, really fibrous foods. And so I don't even have the answer for it. All I know is that when I'm shredding for a show, I stand on the scale heavier. than when I started. And even though I'm lower in body fat, I'm immensely lower in body fat, it is astounding to me. I'm either exactly the same weight or I'm heavier. And the only way you can shred body fat but still be the same weight is if you built muscle. So the only thing that I can think of is my body is getting so many nutrients from the way I eat and so much opportunity to build muscle from the way I train that I always build muscle in a calorie deficit. Wendy Woods, I have celiac and I do eat tofu a lot. But you did say soy chicken. Is that lower in fat than tofu? I don't know why, but I have thought all soy is higher in fat. No, look, it can be. There's a lot of soy-based products. You just have to, and some of them have loads of fat and some of them don't. Like I took 2 chicken substitutes out of the freezer whenever my chef was off for a week. I was in the supermarket and I took 2 out of the freezer section or fridge section. I looked at them. They were both soy chicken breasts, and one of them had like 282 calories per chicken breast, and the other one had 130. And the only way that that happens is whenever they put fat into it. So they'd added more fat. So you just want to always check the label and just see what the calories are, because it's usually not the soy that has the fat, it's the additives. Oh my goodness. Right. Loads more questions. I'll try and fly through a few more. Kathy, I'm trying to follow the protein calf. I think you mean calculations. If you weigh 145 pounds, how many ounces of protein do you need a day? You need 145 grams, not ounces. Okay, we work in grams here in the UK, so I don't know what that is now. Oh, I do. It's multiplied by 2.2, so you'll need 145 multiplied by 2.2. Is that right? 319 ounces. Hopefully that's right. I think it is. So when I try your calculations, the number I get doesn't seem right. That's why, because you're working in ounces and not pound and not grams. So if you work in grams, then it's 1 gram per pound of body weight. Or if you were to work in pounds, then I think it's 319 ounces. Is that right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Right. Does intermittent fasting, Carla Kim is asking, slow down my metabolism? Yes, I have a whole podcast on intermittent fasting. You should definitely go and look it up. The Sculpted Vegan Intermittent Fasting. Intermittent fasting keeps your metabolism slow in the morning, and you want to ramp up your metabolism in the morning by eating 30 grams of protein within 30 minutes of waking up. Now, if you're absolutely dead set on intermittent fasting, and by the way, there's zero science behind intermittent fasting, it's simply calorie restriction. That's all it is. So the calorie restriction, I'm giving you a different type of calorie restriction. It's not like scientifically proven to do anything other than just restrict calories. If you want to still practice intermittent fasting and have a 16-hour window, eat your dinner at like 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. and then don't eat your breakfast until 9 or 10 a.m. in the morning. Okay. And that gives you, and then, you'll be eating them within like 1 to 2 hours of waking up. But I wouldn't recommend intermittent fasting ever, because you want to ramp up your metabolism in the morning. No self-respecting bodybuilder ever performs or ever follows intermittent fasting. And if you want to look like a bodybuilder or a fitness athlete, then you should probably learn to adopt the habits that they have every day. Do you have a deodorant you like? Sarah's asking. Well, yes, Sarah, I do. I use one by Cowshed. Look it up. Cowshed. It's actually owned by Soho House. We go there a lot. Remembers Cowshed natural deodorant. It is absolutely amazing. It's the only natural deodorant I have ever used that actually works. Comes in a little glass bottle. It's spray. It's all mint and lavender and all different types of stuff, and it absolutely works. You do not stink with it. And I find every other natural deodorant I've ever used still makes you smell a BO. This one doesn't. Melissa, I'm not vegan, but I did see a lot of butter beans used in the seitan. Is this gassy, and do you just make a lot of this at one time? There's loads of different seitan recipes. Some of them have beans, some of them don't. You can experiment with different ones. I've never found it to make me gassy, but then my body is probably used to it. So I don't know, but there's loads of different recipes you can try. And yes, you can make a big log of it in one go. You can make about 6 days worth in one go for sure. Jenny Lynn is saying, I normally cannot eat before a workout, especially cardio. Yeah, no, of course, you don't want to eat before cardio. So when I get up in the morning, I do 45 minutes of spin. Does that ruin the concept of 30 grams of protein within 30 minutes of waking? No, because cardio also raises the metabolism. So if you're getting up and doing cardio the minute you wake up and then you're eating directly afterwards, that's also fine. That's what I do. So that's totally okay. Right, guys, I am afraid I do not have time for any more questions, and there's about another 100 sitting there. I'm really sorry. So what I would recommend that you do is go into the private Facebook group and leave your question in the private Facebook group, and I promise that I will get to it there. I've been going in there every single day and spending a lot of time answering loads of questions in there. I know this was a slightly shorter session today, but there wasn't as long to get through or as much to get through, but I hope that you did enjoy it and you find it useful. I would love to answer your questions in the Facebook group and help you to really nail this information. So let me know what questions you have. Go into the replay page. The replays are all on one page. So whatever link was sent to you on day one, that is the link that will work for every single replay. Download the PDF, download the slideshow. And tomorrow is our last day together, and I have something really epic planned for you tomorrow, and you guys are going to love it. And I also have an extra special bonus that I'm going to give you tomorrow, which we actually charge $97 for, and you guys are going to get it for free tomorrow as well. So it's going to be really exciting. Okay, thank you so much for showing up. I love you loads. Mwah. This is epic. I'm really enjoying teaching. I haven't taught in so long, so thank you for giving me the chance to teach, and thank you for showing up today for me and for yourself. And I will catch you all tomorrow at the same time. So much love, and I'll see you then. Okay.